Hi guys, today I'm going to be doing my May wrap-up. I couldn't remember what month we just finished. Wow. In May I only read 6 books, but again, I'm still kind of getting back into the swing of reading, have other things that I'm trying to do and balancing 2 children, so yeah. But I did manage to fulfill all of my yearly prompts with those 6 books, so that was good. So let's just get talking about what they are. So the first one I read was A Promise Engraved by Liz Tolsma. I gave this one, I believe I gave it 4 stars. Let me double check. Yes, I did. Okay. Oh, yes. Okay. I remember the story of this one now that I read the, my review. So, first of all, I need to give a heads up that this one includes, non-descriptive mentions of her time when she was being held by an enemy soldier and he was doing some things to her. The historical timeline main character, because this is from the Doors of the Past series with, I feel like that might be a little bit of a spoiler, but you should know that going into it. So I don't feel like I need to actually give you a spoiler warning. Yeah. Doors of the Past series, this is a dual timeline series. Each of them is set like around an American, I think they're all American, like landmark, and in this one it is the Alamo, which is boring, first of all. Like the real life Alamo, yeah, there's not a lot to do at the Alamo in real life, just as a note to anybody who's considering like making a special trip to San Antonio to visit it. Don't do that. Please don't do that. We went to San Antonio for a Bible competition that I competed in when I was a teenager. And then we had planned to stay a few extra days like as vacation, and we left like a day early because we ran out of things to do. But anyways, so in the past timeline, it is of course the Mexican or the Texas War for Independence, i.e. the Alamo. And this one had a good preacher. I really loved her love interest. He was a wonderful preacher. He was so great. And I really liked also the way that the end of her story was handled, the past timelines character. It broke my heart for her, but it was beautiful, like the sacrifice that she made. And I really, really appreciated it. And then in the present timeline, so they're just sort of caught up in the Battle of the Alamo. I don't want to give you too much information about her timeline. Then in the modern timeline, the female main character is trying to figure out who killed her parents. And she's found a ring that used to belong to her mom that she's trying to suss out where it came from and all that. Like how it wound up from like getting to where she found it, like to figure out who killed her mom or her parents. And she enlists this jeweler that she meets to help, and sparks fly, all that stuff. So I gave this one 4 stars, really liked it, but again, warning for that content. I thought it was very tastefully handled, I will say that. Then I read Splendor of the Land by Connilynn Cossette. This is the 3rd book in the King's Men trilogy, or quartet, because there's a 4th book coming. First of all, please just look at this cover. I adore this cover. It is gorgeous. I gave it 3.5 rounded up. Let's see. I loved Zahava, and watching her and Gabrielle fall in love was great. He really drove me crazy at the beginning, though, with his just horrible everything. And it was a marriage of convenience, so you know what that means. Lots of discussions of content that I didn't like, and all that sort of thing. All right, then I read Agnes Grey by Brontë. I was in between 4 or 5 stars, but I read 2 books with an incredible pastor this month, guys. Like, what is happening? I loved the pastor in this book, so that pushed it up to 5 stars. It's probably more like a 4.5, but since Goodreads doesn't let you do half stars, for once I actually rounded up a 4.5 into a 5. The kids are terrible in this, though. So she goes off to be a governess because her parents are poor and need money. And so she goes off to be a governess so that they're not having to feed her, and also so she can give them money, which they won't take, but, you know. But yeah, these kids, they all needed some discipline of some kind. Like, we kind of think of, I think a lot of us think of that like modern phenomenon. We think of the phenomenon of parents saying, "Oh, my precious baby angel could never do anything wrong," as being a modern phenomenon. It was not. It was very much around in this time period. And these children, oh my goodness, I don't know how she put up with them. They were terrible. Like, all of them. All of the children she taught were horrid, horrid, horrid children who really needed something. So, yeah. But again, enjoyed it a lot. Really liked Agnes as a character, and her love interest was also really wonderful because, again, good pastor. Yay, we love good pastors. I then read The Good Fortune of Miss Robbins by Melanie Dickerson. I was really hoping this would be a 5-star, since most of Melanie Dickerson's are, but it was a 4-star. It was still a good rating, but yeah. The two main characters as characters were great. Even if their like virtues and morals were all rather anachronistic, honestly, for Regency era, especially his, I still really loved them. Especially, and he was a great character as well. But main conflict of the book is stupid. Okay? The only person who can get away with this level of miscommunication is Jane Austen. And as much as I love Melanie Dickerson, she's not Jane Austen. Because no one is Jane Austen. It was so dumb. I'm sorry, it was so stupid. The plot of this was so bad. Yeah. Basically, I thought this was going to be a twist. It's not a twist. She is the governess, his governess, for his younger siblings that are in his care. And they fall in love while she's his governess. And then he thinks, ooh, I need to try to figure out if my society friends would actually accept her. So he has this party and has them all come over. And surprise, surprise, they think the governess is a governess and beneath them. So then he has this brilliant idea. I'm going to give her a bunch of money and pretend like it came from her dead uncle that she doesn't actually have. Yeah. It was bad. That was bad. Oh my goodness. And then he doesn't, let's just say they really needed to be locked in a room and forced to talk multiple times. And I'm surprised his aunt didn't do that. I loved his aunt. His aunt was a great character. And then, like I said, they were great characters separately. But together, apparently, they can't talk or have a good decision at all. So, yeah. That may be kind of spoilery, but honestly, I don't care. Then I read The Bad Beginning by Lemony Snickett. I love this. It was 5 stars. Wonderful prose. Somehow whimsical despite the dark nature of the book. And yet, yeah. And the sibling relationships are also wonderful in this book. Yeah, this was really great. I really love this. We'll be reading the rest of the series once we find book 2. It's my husband's, and he thinks we may have left it at his parents', so we're going to have to find it next time we're over there. And by we, I mean him, because obviously I'm not going to go rooting around closets in my in-laws' house trying to find a book that my husband left. That will be my husband that does that. And then the last book I finished in the month at 8:30 p.m. on the 31st was The Ark, the Reed, and the Fire Cloud by Jenny L. Cote. I adore this book. This was 5 stars. As I put in my review, did this book take a good number of liberties with a biblical story? Yes. Do I think most of the events in this book actually happened? No. Is it whimsical, fun, sweet, and precious? Yes. Yes. I love this series so much. I went ahead and read this one because I want to try to get all this series reread this month for Red, White, and June, because the last 2 that I own, and then there's another one that I don't own, but they're American Revolutionary themed. So I would like to get to those sooner rather than later. Hopefully I can get to those this month. That's my hope. So I can read them for Red, White, and June. But, so this is a story of a little dog and a little cat and their mates who are on the Ark. Now, again, obviously there are not going to be, a Scottish Terrier and a Westie and a little French cat and a fat orange cat. Obviously that's not how it is. But how it was. It was probably going to be more a panther or something for the cats. That was just something that was very genetically diverse, could get bigger, could get smaller. Same for the dogs, a medium-sized between like the size of a Chihuahua and the size of like a wolf or whatever the biggest kind of dog is. There was only one of the dog kind and one of the cat kind, and this definitely had more than one of each kind. So obviously I'm not saying that this is the most accurate ARC story you will ever read. For a more accurate one, you can go check out the Remnant trilogy by Tim Chafee and K. Marie Adams, I think are their names. But for what this is, it is a sweet, wonderful little story. I just love it to death. It's also silly, like, Scotland and England and France, like, first of all, they were not named that, and secondly, they probably did not actually exist fully before the flood. Like, the flood probably moved around some geological plates and stuff. But I just love this series so much. I love these animals. They are so precious. And yeah, I highly recommend these. For kids or for adults, honestly. Like, I really love them. So, 5 stars, definitely. And I'm working on The Dreamer, the Schemer, and the Rogue, book 2 already. And just absolutely loving it. So, that's what I read in May. Let's see. For Cat's Challenge, the prompt was... I read Splendor of the Land for it. So what was the prompt that I used? For Old Testament. I filled that in for Old Testament, yeah. For Anne's Challenge, I obviously read... Okay, I kind of cheated on this one. I read Agnes Grey for Anne's Challenge. I did a poll to see which one I should read. And the one that won was Emily of New Moon, but Anne herself in the comments was like, I'd like to read that with you, but I can't do it this month. And I was like, Okay, so I went with the second highest option on the poll, but I feel like that was still a random choice, right? Because I went with the second highest option. Just like taking that one out of the running. So I'm counting it. For Alma's, it was Latin America. I kind of fudged this one too a little. I read A Promise Engraved because it takes place in Texas when Texas was still part of Mexico. So I'm saying that counts. There was Spanish spoken throughout the book and stuff. So, and I didn't have any others. For Oshina's, I filled in... I used A Promise Engraved for something. I don't remember what it was, though. I know that was one I used, but I don't remember what it was. For Chantel's, what was the prompt? For Chantel's, the prompt was, place in the title. The land is a place, so I put Splendor of the Land. I guess you could say the Ark is a place, and then substitute in the Ark, the Reed, and the Fire Cloud. So whichever one fits better. I think the land is better, but anyways. Okay, so my phone died in the middle of filming that, but it meant I was able to go look up what prompt I had done for Oshina's and for Katie's as well. So that was good. So anyways, I was in the middle of talking about Jeanette's though. So for Jeanette's, I did 5-star prediction. I did Good Fortune to Miss Robbins. And then the other prompt was set in Tennessee / the South. As a Tennessee girly, I so wanted to read a Tennessee book, but I never got around to it. So unfortunately, I just had to throw in A Promise Engraved because Texas is, of course, the South. And then for Oshina's, I used A Promise Engraved for New to Me author. And for Katie's, I also used A Promise Engraved for Eeyore emotional read. I forgot to say that I also participated in the Maybe I Will, Maybe I Won't readathon by Alyssa's Faith. I was able to hit every prompt, as you can see, except for the starts with M challenge, unless I can count Good Fortune of Miss Robbins, because Miss Robbins is an important word in the title. I'm joking, of course. But this was a fun readathon as well, because there was some heavy stuff in that book. So, anyways, great reading month in May. My favorite read, honestly, was probably the Ark to Read and the Fire Cloud. But it's also, I'm filming this very late in June, as you may guess by the time that I'm finally posting it. So, I don't remember what my favorite read from May was at this point. But anyways, what was your favorite read in May? Have you read any of these books? Please let me know down in the comments section. And please make sure to like and subscribe. I will see y'all next time. Bye.